In the hour when the King Messiah comes, he shall stand on the roof of the temple and proclaim that the time of deliverance has come. Those who believe and are faithful to God will rejoice in the light that will rise upon them. As it is written, arise, shine, for thy light is come. Only take courage and be careful to observe all things written in the law of Moses. And turn not aside from them, neither to the right hand nor to the left. Take care only of this, in all diligence, that thou love the Lord thy God. Amen. Amen.
Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe.
May your name be blessed among men, as it is blessed in the immensity of the heavens. Blessed art thou, O God, Lord of the universe, who consecrated the Sabbath and all of Israel's celebrations. Amen. May the Lord bless and preserve you. May he let his face shine upon you. May the Lord lift up his countenance and give you peace.
Amen. Come to my house, Rabbi, to supper. I promised my children.
Thank you. Joseph. Joseph, there's something I want to talk to you about. It's very important. See, if you just come with me, we can talk about it together.
The scriptures are quite clear.
Yes.
James, wait for me! Rabbi?
Yes. David, tell your mother and father you can come and see me tomorrow.
Once you've mastered the craft, you will be free. Always remember, only those who know how to use their hands are free. Only they are not dependent on anyone else.
Joseph, could we please?
Anne. I shall leave you to work on your own for a minute.
Yes. No, this is
Fine.
Remember, don't force the wood. Treat it gently.
Yes, of course. Now you must take it flat. That's very important.
Anna, I intended to find you when we finish work, but I'll come with you now.
You know that my husband
God rest him, best of men.
was very fond of you. He would have come to you himself, but in the end, he could hardly speak. Poor man. What sleep he could get was disturbed by dreams about his daughter, alone, without a brother, no man in the house, and now I can't sleep. And when I die, as I must soon...
Why do you say that?
I have a feeling that I will not live much longer.
You have years ahead of you, and you can sleep soundly tonight. It's a great change in a man's life. But I also know a single man is only half a person. As for the contract and the date of the wedding, I leave all that to you and the rabbi.
Thank you, Joseph. You won't regret it. Mary's a good girl. She'll make you a beautiful wife. Shall we sign the contract the first day of the full moon? And then, after a year's betrothal, celebrate the wedding in the season of the harvest. When the earth yields up its fruit and every heart rejoices. With luck, I may live to see it. Oh.
Hi everyone. It's no secret that dogs
Do
are
not be
considered
afraid.
man's best friend. They're
Yes,
smart,
yes,
loyal,
yes.
cunning, and can help at some difficult times. But not only dogs can form bonds with people. The internet knows many examples when other animals, birds, and even fish have befriended. Or a camp in Tanzania has helped the pelican. This rescue operation. Although people hoped that over time the pelican would be able to rejoin its flock, this did not happen. Tragically, the bird died during a boat accident. Asian sheepshead wrasse.
May this
Maintaining
betrothal,
long-term friendship
one
is
to the
quite
other,
difficult. Now imagine
Joseph,
you're friends with
Mary,
a fish. That can't be right.
be blessed
Well,
and
Japanese
sanctified
scuba
according to the law
diver
of Moses
Hiroyuki Arakawa
and of Israel.
Who are you? Who are you? How can that be? No man has ever touched me. Behold the handmaiden of the Lord.
It was not the skeleton that suddenly sobered the soldiers, but the plaque around its neck, with the date May 1791,
But Elizabeth
which could
was
only have
already
been placed there at the time of burial in
far too
1566.
old.
Nostradamus had predicted 200 years before
What nonsense
the exact
is this?
date when his body would be dug up.
She's going to have a son.
Nostradamus.
Diamond.
Nostradamus.
non, Robert, non, non, non.
Oh non, mon beau-père, tu es stupide.
shot that killed that soldier was fired from the riot of the surrounding revolution. A stray bullet. A freak accident that fulfilled the legend of Nostradamus. Nostradamus. What kind of a man was he? He predicted the date of the desecration of his own grave. His predictions were used as propaganda during World War II. A man who had accurately predicted events over the last 400
King Herod,
years, from the French
to revert to the
Revolution
Jews, I wonder, is it because, as you say, they
Even to
identify
Third World War,
future with
and
past, that they have so
the
many
total
prophets?
destruction of the
prophets, it's the
world.
sun which breeds them.
What can we can make of his predictions?
Many of these are harmless. They
If they're true of the
preach
past,
religion.
what of the future?
We let them go, but
Tonight,
some of
we
them
would like
preach
to introduce
rebellion
you to the
because it is
prophecies
written.
of Nostradamus.
Altogether, literacy has had a disastrous effect in this country. And those we eliminate. Rome has taught us that although this may be indifferent theology, it is very good government.
Majesty, I've heard the word Messiah. What exactly is a Messiah?
Oh, even you have heard that awful word, Romulus.
Is he a prophet or is he something even?
Well, even Rome cannot influence men's dreams. And the Messiah is a bad dream disguised as a solution to every problem. It's a leveler of scores, a rewarder of righteousness, a scourge for the wrongdoer. It is the bringer of everlasting peace.
After the desecration of his grave
That is, I
in
understand
1791,
from what you
the
have said, a
remains of
Messiah
Nostradamus were
is
transferred and buried
worse
here
than a
on the
prophet
wall of the church
from
in
the
St.
Roman point of view.
Oh, from the Jewish viewpoint, too. Only you try telling that to the Jews. No, don't. It's much wiser not to consult them
This
just
is
when a
on the
Messiah
western
appears.
face.
Crush it
It's
underfoot
only 40
like a young
kilometers from a
scorpion.
small village of Saint-Denis de Provence, where he was
Now you
born
can tell
in
great
the year
Augustus
1503.
that he can rest in peace in Rome. There will be no Messiahs, true or false, in Palestine while I am
His
alive.
ancestry was Jewish, but his immediate family has converted to Christianity. Although his father was a doctor, they led a simple life in this small house, nestling in the shadow of the church. His grandfather, also a doctor, began to educate him at an early age in medicine and the classics, but more significantly, in the ancient science of the stars, astrology.
Take us to my sister in bed and tell her I'll be with her papa.
With this rich heritage of learning behind him, Nostradamus moved to the world-famous university city of Montpellier, where he studied medicine at the academy. Here, he amazed his fellow students and teachers with his lectures on astrology. He expounded his theory that the Earth was round, revolving around the sun, 100 years before Galileo.
Where should I put it?
The plague, the dreaded curse of the 16th century, spread across Europe. And Nostradamus, when he graduated as a doctor at the age of 22, threw himself into the struggle against it. Oddly enough, he was most successful in combating the plague with a simple, yet unorthodox cure of clean air and unpolluted water. He achieved amazing results with what we now know to be common sense, and his fame as a healer soon spread, and afflicted towns from all over Europe sent for him.
And he told me another thing. A thing even more.
But his own wife and 2 daughters he could not save. After they died, Nostradamus was left alone and wandered aimlessly through Europe.
I too am highly favored. That the mother of the chosen should come to me. From the moment your greeting reached my ears,
Although he continued to practice medicine, his attention turned more and more to the study of astrology and the occult. It was during this time that Nostradamus first began to
and my
experience his
spirit has
visions of the
rejoiced in
future.
God, my Savior, who He has looked kindly upon the most humble of his handmaidens, and he has told me that all generations shall call me
Returned to the
blessed.
south of France and settled here
He
in the
who
small
is
town of
mighty has
Salon,
done unto me a
where he
mighty.
remarried and made his permanent home. Study, he began to record
Oh, yes,
his
it's true.
amazing
News
visions.
came from Karim.
Soon,
Elizabeth is going to have a
stories
child.
circulated about him,
Oh, yes,
earned him the
and she must be
reputation
nearly
of being
50.
the first an eccentric, and then a mystic.
Well, Joseph! Are we going
On
to get
one
an
occasion, he
invitation
was
to your
invited
wedding?
to a banquet where his host attempted to trick him.
Plenty of time for that,
He told
Jotham.
Nostradamus they would
The
be eating
contract's only
pig
just
that
been
evening.
signed.
He said he had a black
Only
pig
just
and a
betrothed
white
and his
pig,
beloved
and he
left him
invited his
already.
guests to predict which of the
Just
two
like
they
her,
would
she's
eat.
always been a bit
Nostradamus
strange.
said
Not like
the black one.
That's something
The
you'll have
man
to
then
learn
went
to
to the
live with.
kitchen and instructed the cook
But
to
seriously,
prepare the
Joseph,
white
Mary
pig.
is remarkable.
Later that evening,
We
as
all
they
think
were
so.
enjoying their meal, he
Remarkable.
again asked Nostradamus to say which pig they were eating. He was told the black one, and triumphantly he denounced his guest's ability as a prophet. When Nostradamus quietly insisted that it was indeed the black pig, the man summoned the cook and asked him to declare which of the two pigs they were eating. The cook said that while he'd been preparing the white pig, it had suddenly been snatched from the table and devoured by the dogs. So he'd been forced to serve the black pig.
Give in to me, Elizabeth.
But Nostradamus had embarked on something more important than the entertainment of the nobility. In Salon, he set out an intensive study of what was now his life's major work.
Seated at night in my secret study, alone, reposing over the brass tripod, a slender flame leaps out of the solitude, making me pronounce that which is not in vain. Divining rod in hand is put in the middle of the branches. With water moisten the limb and the foot. Struggling fear, sleeves trembling, heavenly splendor. The divine seats himself nearby.
Of the covenant between
His
the Lord
writings
and
clearly
his people.
show that Nostradamus
What
was
is the
both
name of the
able to
child?
see
His
and to
name
hear
is-
these events, almost as if he were present in some future
His
time.
name shall be John.
Was this the work of God or of the devil? For this
When
was
you
the
get back
age
to
of
that-
witchcraft. The 16th century was a time when superstition made men strike out at the unusual, the odd, and the eccentric. And countless innocent people were tried, convicted, and sentenced to horrible tortures and death.
Hello, listen.
Was this the work of God or of the devil?
Will he believe? Will he believe me?
For such a man,
God
for
will
any
open
man,
his heart.
to announce predictions now tumbling before him was to invite disaster. So Nostradamus began to write down his predictions in such a way that they would be
That's too
preserved
much for
for
any man to
posterity and survive fear,
But you're not any
suspicion,
man.
and destruction through
You
ignorance.
too are chosen.
He chose a four-lined rhyming verse known as the quatrain. Writing in his native French, he confused the verse with Latin, Greek, and even anagrams. So the truth would have to be unraveled, interpreted, and deciphered.
I swear, I've never been
He
with...
wrote 1,000 quatrains, dividing them into 10 groups of 100 each, called centuries. One half of the quatrains have already come true, nearly 100 of them in recent times. Some are too obscure even for today's scholars. For, as a final precaution, Nostradamus threw his predictions into the air, and by compiling them in the order in which they fell, completely confused the chronological order of events.
What I said about
Only then did he consider it safe to publish. His precautions have been rewarded in that his book is one of the few to remain constantly in print since it was first published in the 16th century.
I believe in you.
His first edition of 350 quatrains was published 2 years before his death, in 1564. he was immediately summoned before the court of King Henry II, because in one of the published quatrains he wrote, "The young lion will overcome the old one on the battlefield in single combat. In a cage of gold his eyes will be put out, 2 wounds in one, then to die a cruel death." This was the 35th quatrain of the 1st century, which suggested that the old lion, King Henry, would die in a tournament.
What advice can I give?
The king said it was ridiculous, that he would never joust and would always protect himself against such a wound. Nostradamus replied that his predictions offered fates that could be avoided, destinies that could be diverted. But soon after, there was a unique double wedding of the daughters of the king, and part of the celebrations was the staging of a tournament in which the king determined to take part. Reminded of the prophecy, he insisted that he would fight in single combat, but that he would wear a protective gold helmet.
The young lion will overcome the old one.
The young lion was Count Gabriel de Montgomery.
On the battlefield in single combat.
Despite the attempts of the young count to refuse the match, they met in the safest possible combat. Wearing a gold helmet, no lance could possibly penetrate to inflict the injury predicted.
In a cage of gold, his eyes will be put out.
As they came together, the lance of the young count hit the king's chest, splintered and jabbed up under the protective visor.
2 wounds in one.
The splintered shaft penetrated through the eye and into the brain, and it took the king some 10 days to die, in terrible agony.
Then to die a cruel death. The blood of the just shall be dry in London, burnt by the fire of 3 times 20 and 6.
This is the first prediction to come true after the death of Nostradamus, in which he predicts the Great Fire of London and accurately gives the date, 3 times 20 and 6, 1666, a prediction he made 100 years before the event. Erica Cheetham, authoress of the current best-selling book on Nostradamus, has devoted most of her life to the study of his prophecies.
He writes of the Great Fire, and he also writes in the fire, the extraordinary story was that a lot of people ran to St. Paul's Church for sanctuary, hoping that would protect them from the fire in London. And the statue of the Virgin on the porch, with the heat, cracked and toppled down. He talks of the Virgin who falls and crashes.
The ancient thing shall fall. Of the same sect, many shall be killed. For the future, idiots without heads.
Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. It is by the Holy Spirit that she is
Nostradamus most, being French, was the revolution
she will bear a
beginning
son,
in 1789.
and you shall give him the name Jesus.
The coin will be brought lower.
The Savior.
The people shall rise against their king. Peace being made, holy laws made worse. Paris was never in such great disorder.
It must have caused him great pain to see the turmoil that was about to befall his beloved family. Yet, with amazing clarity, he predicted events about which he could have had no inkling. Charles Nelson Jackie, author of They Saw Tomorrow, which includes many topics that concentrate strongly on the works of Nostradamus.
After the event, the conspicuous example of the book is the famous verse in which he said that the first elected king of France, which Louis XVI was, would be struck with his spear, noted the color white, Marie Antoinette was, as a little sword of Baron in the work of France.
Joseph, the prize is arriving.
Paris, the capital
to be executed by a new form of death, which is, of course, remarkable. 1555, that came about in 1791, with its foretelling not only death and reign, but then also beginning the being of the gift.
Another example, the advent of the jury system.
The reign taken, the king will conspire. The lady taken to death by those sworn by lot.
Those sworn by a lot, a jury.
The life of the queen's son will be denied, and the concubine suffers the same as the wife.
The lady taken to death, Marie Antoinette, and the concubine, Madame de Barry.
According to the law of Moses, according to the law of Moses, may the Lord bless and preserve you.
The West shall be freed.
May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May the Lord lift up his countenance towards you.
Nostradamus wrote about revolution in all countries. For example, the American War of Independence.
The eldest sister of the Britannic Islands shall be born 15 years before her brother, by what is promised her and by hope of peace. She shall succeed in the kingdom of balance.
The eldest sister of the Britannic Islands shall be born 15 years before her brother. This remarkable prediction not only accurately suggests that America, the eldest sister, will achieve independence before France, her brother, but actually stipulates the gap of 15 years between the beginnings of the Republic in each country. America in 1776, France in 1791. Exactly 15 years. And he goes on.
By what is promised her, and by hope of peace, she shall succeed in the kingdom of balance.
The kingdom of balance. This indicates that the Republic of the United States will ensure balance and peace in the world. And there is no doubt that the United States has fulfilled that prediction.
Your Majesty, we have always treated your country, as far as possible, as a free and independent nation.
I greet you as the first heroic volunteers of the Socialist Army, which is the basis of a strong revolutionary army, which will defend what we have achieved through revolution.
In Galilee, Judea, Etruria, whatever your motives for this, there'll be...
Justice is on our side.
People will be resentful, suspicious, perhaps even hostile.
The Russian Revolution of
merely to carry out
1917.
instructions.
My dear Consul, there seems to be one aspect of the problem of which either Rome or you are entirely ignorant, and I cannot believe you won't. The methods which you propose for your censors are contrary to our tradition.
They will hold it very briefly. 3 years, 7 months will pass in making war. The two Vestals will rebel in opposition. Victor, the latest born in the land of Armenia.
Every person living in these
Lenin and Trotsky attained power in November 1917. They did not continue the war with Germany for long, but concluded a separate peace in March 1918, exactly 3 years and 7 months after the beginning of the war.
A census therefore means movement of every person back to what he considers to be his native township, ancestral capital.
After the death of Lenin in 1924, Trotsky and Stalin became rivals.
Victor, the
you
latest
choose your
born in the
phrases
land
most
of Armenia.
exquisitely.
Stalin emerged the victor.
Right.
He was the younger man, born in Georgia, as you know. But in the day of Nostradamus, Georgia was part of Armenia.
You think your subjects would accept it more readily?
One of the greatest shall flee into Spain, which after shall cause a wound to bleed long, leading armies over
Seriously, have you any idea what this would entail? The shifting of entire populations, the disruption of trade.
The divine Augustus
Here,
is counting on your
Nostradamus refers to the
understanding,
long
your
war
Majesty.
in Spain, after which he
I
says,
hope I shall not
they shall
have to
reign in
inform him of
peace,
any lack
which
of
is exactly what
cooperation.
happened. Because after the establishment of the Franco regime in 1938, Spain remained neutral during World War II. But he went even further. In another quatrain, he actually names Franco.
It's a trick to
From
increase the
Spanish,
taxes.
Franco
And we
shall
all know
come
the money
the
ends up
assembly.
in the wrong.
The ambassador, not
But why
these,
should it?
shall make a separation. Those of the
What does
Riviera
Rome
shall be
give
in
us?
a struggle
That's
and
not the
shall
point.
deny entry into the
The
great
Romans want to
gulf.
count us. How many
From
we are.
Spanish,
Where we
Franco,
are.
Franco,
They
Franco,
want us to know that
Franco,
they are our rulers.
Franco, Franco.
But we should have no earthly ruler.
But this is not the only
No
real
rule but the
name
Lord.
Nostradamus wrote.
No king
In century
but
1,
God.
quatrain
Not for you to
25,
remind us
he
of the
says,
Scriptures.
"The
Be
lost
quiet and
thing
go home."
is discovered, hidden for many centuries.
too young to
Pasteur will be
understand.
celebrated
What
as
are
a
you doing to
demigod
the faith of
when
our
the moon
fathers?
completes her great
All over
cycle.
Galilee there are thousands of
Here,
Jews
he clearly
preparing for
names Louis
But what you're
Pasteur
always talking
and
about
refers
is
to his
there, the coming of
introduction
the
of
king who will
sterilization
liberate us.
in 1889.
What are you doing about it?
The exact
Nothing.
year that
We
the
accept the
cycle of the
violence of the
moon
Romans
was
like sheep.
completed.
We are not worthy of the king's
Pasteur, the scientist,
The king to come
and
will not
Franco, the
bring
leader,
violence and
both
bloodshed.
named by Nostradamus in the 1500s.
It is written.
But he speaks of
He
many
himself
leaders.
is pure
Some
from
he
sin.
calls antichrists.
God shall
A
cause them to be
description
mighty through
not
the
just of
spirit
the
of
men,
holiness.
but of the movements they led against
Why?
peace and Christian
To the council
principles.
of understanding.
He refers to three antichrists.
Now come home.
The first was
Stay there
Napoleon,
till you learn more
the
respect
second
for your
Hitler,
elders.
and the third, yet to come.
An emperor will be born near Italy, one who will cost his empire quite high a price. They will say that with such people as rally round him, he will be found less prince than butcher.
This was the first use of the word emperor in association with France. Not only did Nostradamus, living in an age of kings, have to predict their disappearance, but that such a man as Napoleon would take for himself that august title, emperor. And to be born near Italy, in Corsica, was unheard of for a French ruler.
From a simple soldier he will attain to empire.
Israel.
From a short robe he will attain the long. Great swarms of bees will arise, such that nobody will know whence they've come.
This is an excellent example of both his accuracy and the clever way in which Nostradamus hid his true meaning. The reference to great swarms of bees would have had very little significance until 1799, the year Napoleon, as emperor, adopted the beehive as his crest.
For 14 years he will hold the tyranny.
Napoleon's length of reign, from the day he overthrew the Directory on November the 9th, 1799, to April the 13th, 1814, was 14 years and 5 months.
A great troop gathered shall come from Russia. The destroyer shall ruin a city.
The name Napoleon is Greek for the new destroyer, and Nostradamus predicts the abortive attack against Russia and the beginning of the downfall of Napoleon.
The rear guard will make defense, but the exhausted ones will die in the White Territory.
seem to be kings, Lord Melchior, from different lands.
I told you we could not have been the only ones to see the sign.
Come in peace. Where are you bound?
Wherever I am led. I follow that star.
I'm sure that Herod keeps a strict watch on his frontiers. He must know that we have crossed them. I would have to tell him, as Balthazar has said, that I follow that star wherever it leads.
But what will we find? All my calculations show that there was to be a new heavenly creature, a new star. It was even precise as to place and time. So I made up my mind to set forth and seek what they will unfold.
You did not know?
Only that it would be something wonderful. The stars are not distant and aloof, cut off from the lives of men. The rising of a new star entails an immense labor in the heavens that always has its counterpart on earth. The universe is about to bring forth a prodigy beyond our understanding.
Your star, my brother Balthazar, is indeed a sign of wonder. The divine Zoroaster says the next prophet will show himself in a foreign land, and the truth he will reveal will be at first only for his own people.
But there is only one truth.
And only one God. All the rest are vain, or parts of him.
The people of Israel know this. Many of their wise men have been close to him, and their writings confirm my calculations. A king is about to be born.
A king?
A king who will free us from the evils of this world.
Where will he be born?
The sacred writings point to a small town in Judea called Bethlehem Ephrata.
Rest there. I'll find a place. Excuse me, may I speak with you?
What do you want?
I desperately need a place for tonight.
Huh?
My wife is near her time.
No, I can't help you. I already have too many people.
But I've got...
Can't you see? Come on. Close the door. How many times must I tell you the gate should be shut?
Nothing. But there must be another place. I'll try again. How do you feel? I don't like leaving you alone. Do you think you could walk a little further? Hold on to me.
Oh, no. No.
Stay there. Stay there.
No.
God will help us.
Listen, it's no use trailing around Bethlehem anymore. Every inn is full up. None of them are going to take your wife in like that. Come, I'll show you. Take your donkey. That's right. Now do what I tell you. If you go through that gate over there, just outside the walls, on the road to Jerusalem, you'll come to Careful. You'll come to some stables. Some caves. It's not much, I know. But it'll be warm and dry and plenty of fresh straw. Look, they're down there. Can you see? Right. Now then, if I can manage it, I'll come back later and help. Oh, and if anyone tries to throw you out, just say that Abigail sent you. Abigail. Remember the name?
We'll remember. Thank you.
Beautiful child. Come and put him there in the manger and see if there's some fresh straw that'll keep him warm. I'll take care of her, poor girl. Now then, have you some water? Give it to me. Come, that's it. Who's that? What do you want? This is no place for you. Get out! Get out, you hear me? Off! Off with you! Can't you see? Poor girl just had a child.
That's why we've come. We were told to.
Told? By who?
We were out there in the fields. This man came to us from nowhere.
An angel. Shepherds, he said. They say that Israel is a scattered flock that lacks a shepherd.
And then he said, tonight the shepherd is born. It is for you that he comes, he said. For the poor.
That's why you came here?
Yes. The man said... He said...
The man said, today, in the city of David, a Savior has been born for you. Glory to God in the highest, he said.
And peace on earth for those whom he loves.
Come.
They cross my border, yet not one of them sends a greeting. Are they armed?
Not heavily, Your Majesty. Our spies say they're equipped to travel fast and far.
But they were not heading here. If not here, where?
It was Bethlehem, Your Majesty. They followed a star. The new star.
Bethlehem? O thou Bethlehem Ephrata, thou art the smallest... What was that phrase again?
Thou, Bethlehem Ephrata, art a little one amongst the thousands of Judah. Out of thee he shall come forth unto me, who is to be the ruler in Israel, and his going forth is from the beginning, from the days of eternity.
A ruler in Israel? Have those travelers watched all the time? And bring me the names of all newborn children in Bethlehem.
Although darkness covers the earth, and dark night the nations, the Lord shall shine upon you.
Come. I promise. Everything will be done the way we agreed. Don't worry. I promise. Come.
Moshe.
And the Lord said to Abraham, keep my alliance and circumcise each child born unto Israel on the 8th day of his life.
Amen.
This is the seal in flesh of the covenant between the Lord and his people. And the child shall be called
His name shall be Jesus.
And the nations of the world shall march towards...
Where is he? Now I can die contented, Lord, according to thy word. I am Simeon, an old man who has waited long to see his salvation. And now my eyes have seen the child who will bring the salvation thou hast prepared before all people, a light of revelation to the Gentiles, and the glory of thy people, Israel. And a sword shall pierce your heart,